I'm a big believer that in order to solve a problem or even fully understand it, you have to quantify it. And nowhere could that be more true than when it comes to the housing shortage. We hear about that all the time. We have a housing shortage, but what does that actually mean? What does it really look like in terms of numbers? Therefore, I decided to use AI and do a deeper dive into this, and here's what I came up with. Using the year 2000 as the benchmark, we had a population in Canada of 30.7 million people. In 2026, flash forward, we're sitting at a population of 41.5 million. That's an increase of roughly 10.8 million residents. As you can imagine, add these many people to a place, the number one demand and pressure it's going to be on is housing. So how did housing fare? Well, let's take a look at that. Using the same benchmark of 2000 with a population of 30.7 million people, at that time, Canada had 13.2 million residential units. That's the number of available houses there was, like in terms of like condos, townhomes, half duplexes, you name it, whatever. Now, flash forward to 2005, population went to 32.3 million, an increase of 800,000. Housing stock went to 14 million, an increase of 800,000. Fairly balanced. However, now let's flash forward 10 years later to the year 2015. Now our population was sitting at 36 million, an increase of 5.3 million. Our housing stock now was 15.7 million, an increase of 2.5 million. As you can see, it wasn't keeping up. We were already starting to lag. Now you would think that if that were the case, government people in charge, the so-called experts, would say, hey, wait a minute, I think we got a problem here. Well, let's maybe take a smarter direction. Let's do some smart things here and see how we can solve the problem. However, that's not the case with our government. They went full bore into immigration. How much of an impact has that had? Well, let's flash forward to 2025. We, in 2025, had a population of 41.7 million people. When compared to the year 2000, that's an 11 million person increase. How did our housing stock fare? Well, it went from 13.2 to 17.5, so 4.35 million more housing units. However, population went up by 11 million. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out the math doesn't add up, and the gap was pretty large. Now, 2026, where we're sitting at today, 41.5 million people. So again, a 10.8 million population increase over the year 2000 and 17.65 million housing units. We're still 4.45 million higher than we were as far as from the year 2000, but in comparison to the population, as you can see, we're not even remotely keeping up. So what are the solutions? Okay, build more housing units. Easy to say, not easy to do, and it would take a long time to capture 4.45 million, especially if our immigration stayed the same. If we have any chance of making this ground up, it's going to take some moves like multi-pronged approaches. It's going to take, obviously, building more housing units. How's that going to happen? Well, developers want to be motivated to build. They're only going to build if they know there's a demand and the people are going to come along and purchase them. For that, you need job stability, job security, all of those wonderful things. The other thing is, we've got to cap immigration. We just cannot afford to have more people moving in right now because we can't sustain the people we have. And that's not based on my opinion or me being racist or I don't know, whatever you want to name it. The bottom line is that we're already significantly behind. This problem is not going to get solved with open borders or open immigration. It's going to take a clamping down on it probably for a few years before we even come close to getting the problem narrowed. Ever solved? No. I don't think that's ever going to happen. However, we can get a better handle on it. How do you make this happen? Contact your politicians, reach out to them. Complaining about it, grumbling about it isn't going to do a damn thing. You've got to kind of understand the problem. So even when you're talking to friends who say, oh yeah, we can just build more houses, say, do you know how many houses we're short or relative to the population? These things are the only way we're going to tackle it, with the knowledge and the information and the understanding, and then pushing our politicians to do things that are actually common sense.